exit labor, and you got gridlock on the road to any human rights, with nobody moving freely. Up next, human traffic and weather. Or not, you choose to reroute your eyes around it, it's still there. Wonder why this absurdity is so out of control? Follow the money. The prison industrial isn't that complex when its context is clarified as corporate players monopolizing human beings like tokens after they land on go to jail. It's easier to figure when you factor in the foolishness of police districts blowing up their bookings and filling beds. See, this is slavery by any other name. Oh, wait. The loophole in the 13th does call it that, doesn't it? Well, there it is. Easy as 1, 2, 3. The strikes you get before being struck out of the full roster of citizenship. Sent down to the minors. Disenfranchised. You don't even get that many swings if you're the away team trying to play in the home park of the privileged. Hard-working folk forced to flee their forebears' farms due to fallen prices fashioned by free trade agreements, or fleeing violent factions fueled by arms forged in northern factories and Faustine pacts between our federal and its nefarious friends. Thousands go through hell to get here, only to arrive in hell. Surprise? Well, you won't hear tell of this too much. Our welcoming government quells this, trying to keep it on the slide. But now detention is a family affair, with everyday people rounded up together then torn apart. Parents and children made separate. But equal is the pain in their hearts. They were hoping this country would want them to stay, but they discovered that even here, not everybody is a star. For them, there's no hot fun in the summertime, because they got ice. So while they're made to dance to the music of orchestrated racism, they look for allies to help take them higher. Question is, will we stand with them, doing everything we can so that their God-given dignity is respected and they can be themselves again? We are the ones who must make the earth quake. We are the trumpets that must make the wall shake with justice that opens doors and blows the captives home. Indeed, we might be the next captives. So either we lock arms with those on lockdown or our spirits languish. Our action is of seismic importance. We better not blow it.
Wow, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Thank you so much. Again, that's called The Selling of Souls. And that is in a small book that I have called Somewhere Through the Haze. If you're interested in finding it, first of all, you can find it at Red Emma's bookstore, coffee house, so you can go online at redemmas.org, redemmas.org. Or you can contact me directly, if you will. You can find me on social media at Analysis the Poet, or on email at analysisthepoet@gmail.com. But if you do pick it up, it's not just for my own personal satisfaction. It's something that I want people to be able to use as a teaching tool. Because again, as we talk about the involvement of the arts in this movement and all of our movements, the arts sometimes will unpack an issue and get people to resonate with an issue in a way that is an additional way to directly talking about it, or the lectures, or the so forth and so on, the facts and what have you. Sometimes you need the arts to actually kind of bring it to life also. So I hope that people are able to use that, if you get it, as a teaching tool, both in this struggle and all of our struggles, because they're all related.
Analysis, that was really powerful. Do you happen to have that recorded anywhere? Because a couple of people who were watching online let me know that the feed dropped in the middle. I think we had something of a brief power outage, and it came back on, but I think it happened right in the middle. And so I want to make sure that if you have a recording of it, that I'd like to get the Hellerbach kids to get that recording from you so we can repost it later.
I have to check and see if there's any good quality thing right now. I will touch base with you directly on that. There is an album coming out this year. It will be on that album. But in terms of being able to get it to you right now, I will have to look into that, and you and I can touch base directly on that, because I want to make sure there's a good enough sound quality one laying around somewhere. But it will be on the album before the end of this year. So even if I can't get it to you right now, it will be out this year.
Definitely. That's powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I definitely want to thank you, my brother, for bringing that flame. It was so hot, it burned out the airway. And that's how it generally happens. And you hit the point and angles, stuff just blows out and it crazy. So that was real
How about
powerful
that?
news about that. And
Thank you so much.
I was ready to wrap this up so that way I can go and listen to it again. That's what like that made me really upset. Made me really upset. But thank you, for sharing that and touching on. So again, what was the name of that poem?
It's called The Selling of Souls, and selling is spelled in this case with a C rather than an S. The Selling of Souls by Analysis.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, do anybody else want to share anything before I wrap up?
Twanda,
Yes.
this is Brian. I'm here.
Hey, Brian. Yes. You had that sad list, Brian?
I do. I want to take just a moment first and thank all the both our fine artists. I may have missed something early on, but certainly those last two, artists have just so much to add to what we've done. It's one of the things that I've really felt really blessed by in terms of this being a virtual gathering now rather than an in-person one. It has brought us a lot more access to people doing art and giving distant testimony. So I just want to thank them for that, and I want to also raise up what was said about the need to address all the violence. That certainly police violence is a primary thing that we need to look at, especially the lack of accountability. But it's all violence is sort of tied together in one big knot, and we need to realize that we're not going to untie part of the knot. We're going to have to work our way through all of it eventually. But for right now, I'd like just to recognize some folks who were claimed by violence this week here in Baltimore. So if you just might check them back for me. Kenyon Stith, 16.
Kenyon Stith,
Mike check.
Mic check.
Marquis Darden, 19.
Marquis Darden, 19.
Marquis Garden.
Ryan Watson, 34.
Brian Watson, 34.
Mike Watson.
34. Edwin Taylor, 30.
Edwin
Taylor,
Taylor.
30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want everybody to know that those names that he read off, it may just sound like just the old name, but that's somebody's loved one. That's somebody's life that's been changed forever. Somebody's family life that's been changed forever. Somebody's life cut down short. And it truly wasn't an act of God. It truly wasn't. So it's just really sad. So just let that sink in. We don't want to ever get on this post or platform, I might say, and one of our names be calling out on that list. That's real sad. Like, something needs to be done, and it needs to be done soon. And I thought about my sister Queens and shared, and it's just really sad. But to me, I wanted to bring up these points real quick before we wrap up, and then I'll bring anybody else on that want to say something before we completely close out. But I just know the media plays a big role on how they deliver the news and how they make families feel. And they make black and brown people feel like we're unworthy of accountability, because even when it comes down to community violence, no one, they don't solve a crime. It will take them a very long time. It's a bunch of foolishness. But when Caucasian people are killed, then, we get swift justice. And I just think about the newly released video of Mr. George Floyd that was released. We know what happened in Minneapolis, but I want to bring you guys back. George Floyd, there were many more, because when I went there, they gave us a poster with him, and on the back it had over at least about 500 or 600 names in there. And I thought it was like, but it was all the victims that were killed there in that town, and that's just horrific. But I think about the way the media basically said that the most innocent victim got killed there. And I wrote her name down, and to me, a victim is a victim. Let's be crystal clear. And it's just said that, you know, when it's a Caucasian female, they go to this innocent victim. But then you think about Breonna Taylor. No one called her an innocent victim. No one called India Kager an innocent victim. Somebody that served for this damn country, that was gunned down with her baby in the car, and her baby was, you know, made into be an orphan. No one called her an innocent victim. No one called Corinne Gay a mother in her home, right? She was never called an innocent victim. No one called Shaquaya an innocent victim when she was slammed and tossed upon all over the stage by Killer David Lewis. No one deemed her to be an innocent victim. So let's just be clear about how mad as hell I am about the media, with their foolishness. So anyway, right there in the same town where George Floyd was murdered, there was a victim. And I won't call her an innocent victim because to me, a victim is a victim. And my heart still goes out to this victim's family. But her name was Justina Diamond Rutek, if I'm saying that correctly. But she was 40 years old. She was an Australian native. And the way the media put it out there and read about her, I never saw them, like, I felt like I was hearing a love story. They was like, she was a yoga and a mediation teacher. She was soon to be married, and they just highlighted all the good stuff. She had actually called 911 because she heard an possible assault in her backyard, and you know, she called 911, and when she went up to Officer Killer, I might say Killer Muhammad vehicle, right? When she went up to Killer Muhammad Noor vehicle, you know, just to let him know she was gunned down or whatever. She had her pajamas on or whatever. And, you know, they got that family quick accountability because 2 years later, he was based, and this happened on July 17, 2017, and he was convicted of murder and sentenced on April the 12th, 2019, and he, at the time, Muhammad Noor was 33 years old, but he was sentenced to 12 and a half years, right? He was basically charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. But what I said that to say, quick accountability, and the way they put her story out there, it made everybody around the world wanted to be like, oh my God, that was wrong. Why couldn't they put, like when they put my brother's story out there, why couldn't they say a man, a father? They never said that. A father, a best friend, you know what I mean? A father of four was actually going to do a good deed of picking a young lady that needed a car, a ride home. You know, he was doing a good deed by borrowing his sister's vehicle to go and help this young lady because he didn't want nothing to happen bad to this young lady. No, they never, a church man, they never said any of that. They made up all these lies and they dehumanized him as if they do all the victims. And this is really sad and disgusting. So now I see why shut them down short of be shutting the media down. Because you're not gonna, and that's not, I want to basically say that's not all the media, because I do have a great respect for, Real News, and also Channel 2 News, because they've been doing, but at the same time, once they get the story that's put out there, they listen to the police. So I just want to say we need to change that, because they drag up nothing negative in her situation, which they shouldn't, because a victim is a damn victim. They shouldn't do that. But in our cases, where we seen our loved ones being murdered, Anthony Anderson, they damn sure ain't say that this was an innocent victim. This was a man celebrating his baby's granddaughter's birthday. Something could have been a joyous time. This grandbaby's gonna be scarred forever because that's her grandfather's death date. His mother watched him be brutally murdered. Now, every time they say Anthony Anderson was doing a great job just walking down the street, minding his business, and was murdered by animals, they won't do that. So we need to basically just keep on reporting out something. But this is really saying I want to give also a big shout out to Payune, because I was watching a lot of footage today. Payune from Baltimore Block and Baltimore Block, a big shout out. But I remember Payune, oh my God, he was, oh my God, trying to basically, he basically doing hard work on getting Tyrone West stories out. He went to the grounds of Morgan State University. That's why y'all saw that first video clip. How you went above and beyond. He used to get threatened and all that, but that never stopped Payune from lifting up our names. That never stopped Payune from starting Keith Davis Jr. You know, Team Keith. Payune goes hard for the cause, so I definitely want to say I love you, Pie. I know I see you, I don't see you that much, but I just got a great respect for my brother Payune and Chris and all of my family from Baltimore Block, and I got a big, great love for the West Wednesday Coalition. Ben right now is sick, and that's why I'm trying to hurry up so he can go and get rest, but he, instead of being in bed tonight, he made this business not even feeling well. He's actually still coming up here doing it. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank Hillary. I want to thank Nikki for always doing what he's doing. Eva, just the Hellerback family. Pray. I just want to thank all of y'all. I just want to thank all of y'all. I want to thank JC, who was on the ground feeding people and stuff like that. I want to thank Shut 'em Down Shorty, Boom, just everybody. I want to thank my sister Charlene from Ceasefire. Y'all hold it down in Ceasefire Weekend. I want to thank Gretchen from Runners for Justice, who be running. Just want to thank every last one of y'all. Bill, Beth, everybody. Like, I love you guys so much. Brother Brees, just everybody. I love you guys. And that's all I got to say. I just love you guys so much. So, anybody else want to say anything before we wrap
I just want to say one thing to Wanda before we close out. I just wanted to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here with y'all. I mean, I didn't have a voice at first. I was afraid of my own shadow. But ever since I met you, God put you in my life for a reason, to give me the strength to be able to stand up in the front of a crowd of people and to voice my opinion, to know that I matter too, and that I do have people out here in the world that care about me and about what I've been through and what I'm going through. And I love you so much. We may not have come from the same woman, but you are definitely my sister for life. I thank God for you every single day. It's not a day that don't go past that I don't think about you and I don't say that I love you. And I love everybody on here, but I just had to give you a special shout out to Wanda, because you are so beautiful inside and out. And you have helped so many people find themselves and find their voice within them, to be able to speak out about something that's so heinous, that's so hateful, that it is beyond words. But I just take my hat off to you, because you are so strong. You're stronger than you ever know, my sister, my queen. And thank you again.
Thank you, Queen. You got me crying, man. Thank you. I love you. You call me anytime. You my sister, definitely, truly for life. Only a phone call away. You tell me anything going on, I'm there before anybody show up.
Yes.
So I just want to let you know I love you too. And
I think Kalia has something to say.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kalia. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mike, check.
Hi everyone. Sorry for the late announcement. I came into the meeting late, but I just wanted to say that I and Bill Bleich will be leading a discussion based off of topics on police brutality. We'll be playing two speeches from a Progressive Labor Party Crowdcast event that happened, I believe, if not last month, then in June. So after this at, I believe, 9:15, we'll have a separate meeting room for discussions if anyone would like to be a part of that. If you want to know specifically how to join, you can contact Bill Bleich at brookfarm. I believe it's verizon.net. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But we will be having that meeting tonight soon after this event ends.
Thank you, sis. And I'll be joining you guys even though I'm tired, but I'll definitely be in here at 9:15 after I get me something to eat. So, but yeah. So again, thank everybody, and again, I want my brother Ben to rest up. And next West Wednesday is going to be really special. We're going to actually be joining, and Ben is the man behind the behind and in front of the movement. I call him the man with the plan. He's basically, so what we're going to be basically doing next week is I'm invited and the moderator is gonna be Jill Carter, and we're gonna be having a powerful discussion that you don't want to miss as a webinar. So he's gonna basically sink West Winds, because I told them, I said it ain't no cutting West Winds, because at first I was supposed to be doing this damn thing on a Thursday, but then it got switched, and they're like, well, how can we work? I said, well, if my man Ben with the plan can't figure it out, I won't be a part of it. And I meant that because y'all know rain, sleet, or snow, killer cops must go. Y'all know for 367 weeks continuously, we been out here. We're gonna continuously be out here. And I also want to give a shout out to my Aunt Diane, who was like a mom. We had a beautiful time during the social distancing gathering for her 65th birthday. I love my family so much, and her new name, she called herself Silver Fox, and we just had a joyous time laughing and things like that, especially the world being as crazy as it is, and all the trauma that we have been going through and still going through. So I just want to give a big shout out to everybody, but just listen out. And I'll be posting flyers this week about next West Wing, so you definitely don't want to miss. So it's going to be a little different, but we will definitely still be here. So again, I want to give a big shout out to Shaquaya, Abdul, even though he had to jump off and he was at work, and sometimes we can stay in queue and sometimes we can't, but a big shout out anyway for Abdul for definitely trying, because he was going to tell you the horrific things that Ruiz did, and he's still out there. And my goal, like we got the bill, the gag order bill, that was one of their lists on the goal, so people can talk about their cases, things like that. All we need now is the new mayor to actually get it wrote down and basically say, because to me, it ain't cast in stone unless it's in black and white. But nevertheless, we done did a lot of things on this platform. But the most important goal for me is getting them killer cops in the cell blocks. That's why West Ramsey was born. And we will not stop until these killer cops are in cell blocks. So if you guys can hold on, I want you to catch this video. This is the first video that we did with Sean Yost and the Afro, and what he did, he was the first report. It wasn't our first televised video, because we did it with the Real News. Justin Lenore, he did it for us, but this video basically is Sean Yost, Mr. Yost, my brother, Mr. Yost basically said Ruiz, he connected the killer cops that murdered my brother with Abdul Salam.
This is the update with Sean Yost.
Happy New Year, I'm Sean Yost, and welcome to the first episode of The Update. Up close this week, police brutality and the death of Tyrone West. In Baltimore, the consensus of many is 2013 was a bad year between the Baltimore City Police Department and the black community. In January of 2013, Baltimore State's Attorney Greg L. Bernstein announced the 3 detectives involved in the arrest and death of Anthony Anderson, an unarmed black man who suffered 8 broken ribs, a ruptured spleen, and a bruised lung during an arrest, would not be charged with a crime and were not guilty of excessive force, despite the fact Anderson's death was ruled a homicide by the medical examiner. On July 1st, 2013, Abdul Salam was arrested and allegedly beaten by police in the driveway of his Northeast Baltimore home in front of his 3-year-old son. 17 days later, on July 18, 2013, also in Northeast Baltimore, Tyrone West was arrested during a so-called routine traffic stop and beaten by at least 9 police officers. And he died while in police custody that evening. Witnesses said he was maced, tased, kicked, and beaten with fists and batons. According to lawyers for Salam and the West family, the first 2 officers on the scene of Salam's arrest and beating on July 1st, Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz and Nicholas David Chapman, were the first 2 officers on the scene during the arrest, beating, and ultimately the death of Tyrone West on July 18th. The question for Baltimore City Police is, if Ruiz and Chapman had been sufficiently disciplined after the Salam incident, would Tyrone West be alive today? On December 19th, 155 days after West's death, State's Attorney Greg Bernstein announced, as he did in the death of Anthony Anderson almost a year earlier, none of the officers connected to the death of Tyrone West would face charges. His detractors argue West somehow got what he deserved because of previous run-ins with the law. His family believes nobody deserves to die while in custody of police, and they continue their fight for justice for their family member. I spoke with the West family this week.
Tyrone was gifted, and that's all we talked about. He wanted to help his family strive. He wanted to help us. And through his artwork, he wanted to do something good for this family. And we saw this in his drawings, in his paintings.
Well, we basically picked up, ordered some chicken boxes and some water. And we were there eating, and he was on the way to drop me off home. And he was going to do me a favor. And so he got a call from a young lady that's acquaintance, and she needed a ride. And he asked me, could he go and get her? I said, I don't mind at all.
Ooh. That was probably one of the worst nights of my life.
And then all of a sudden, the news come on. And I see my car on the news, because I'm like, you know, my boyfriend's getting my attention. He's like, you need to see this. And I'm like, see what? I'm like, I'm watching this. I'm trying to. He was like, no, you need to see this. He was like, they killed your brother. And I said, who killed my brother?
Wanda was screaming that Tyrone's dead now. It's just something that I really can't explain it without going back there. And I'm trying not to go back there because that pain was so devastating. Like a hole in my heart that won't close.
The next day they meet us. And the first thing they do is show up at the house, you know, and ask us, did my brother have any health issues? And we're like, what in the world are you talking about? Like, he just was brutally murdered. Like, we heard witnesses on the news stating how they beat him worse than Rodney King, how he was tased, beat, stomped, drugged out his car by his dreadlocks.
It's not a human being, a man alive, that could have lived through that type of beating. And Tyrone was healthy. They're saying he had a cardiac arrest, cardiac arrhythmia. You being maced, tased, beat, kicked, and stomped. How much can the heart take?
We've been on a search all these months, running down a man, running down everybody, just for answers. Nobody family should have to run people down when your loved one is murdered. You got to deal with burying your loved one. You got to deal with questions of why did this even happen? What happened? And nobody's answering your questions. And they're running away from you. And they're telling you take a number like this like an animal. We probably would have got a better response if an animal would have got murdered.
And I will never rest, never, until those officers are brought to justice. So Tyrone can rest because he's not ready.
Did you hear what they said? They said another brother's dead.